Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we're live on a Friday evening, which is time for us to talk about coping with life. And today, what we're going to do is something a little bit different. I thought I would show you how to make your own setting powder or foundation. How many of you already do that? Do any of you already do that? Because it's one of those things that I've been looking at over the years and never done. And then I decided, it is time. Everything's getting so expensive. And the real reason I did it is one that I want to show you. What has happened since I got cancer? I've noticed that my skin tone has changed. And I didn't know that it would do that. But it did. So what I'm going to show you is I'm going to take the makeup off half my face, and then I'm going to show you how I used to put on my makeup, and to show you why I've had to stop doing that, because my skin tone has just completely changed. So let's do that first of all. And along with many other money-saving tips, at times when long nails are useful and times when they're not. I'm just using a face wet one thing, just to take off my makeup for a second, because I want to show you that even though it may look that my makeup is pretty clear, and I say clear, but it's not too thick, but it works really well. And I've also taken off my eye makeup for you. Okay, I'm just doing half my face. I wonder if I should do all of it. Okay, let's do all of it. Because this really surprised me at the difference in my color. I think it has something to do with the fact we're now going into summer and we haven't had a decent spring, so I don't have any color from the sun, which is unusual. All right, so that's how much color I took off my face. And if you can see that, okay, it's actually more than it looks to you. Okay. Now, you can probably see I'm a good imitation of a ghost. And that has never been the case with me. If I put my hands up against it, can you see the difference between the color of here and the color of my face? And that has changed since I did the cancer thing. So, what do we do? Do you want to see how to make it first, and then later on I'll put it on and just show you how different it is? It's up to you. I don't want to keep you waiting a long time. Which would you prefer? To show you what I should have done that while I still had makeup on, right? Should have asked that question. Yeah, silly me. All right. But the very interesting part about it is how simple it is to make. And I think when you see the base ingredients to a face powder, a setting powder or a foundation, are really so simple. Number one thing you need is arrowroot. How many of you know about arrowroot? It's a great thing to use instead of cornstarch for thickening soups and stews and things. But it also is really good for your skin, and I didn't know that. Did you? So that is one thing that you may want to use. Now, you can use different things, but arrowroot is the one thing that I used, and I must admit, it is amazing. You can also use it to make your own talcum powder, so you know what's in it. and you can just use it plain and just put a couple of drops of essential oil in it to make it the fragrance that you would like. But that's simple. The other thing I did buy, I didn't bring it out. I didn't bring it out. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Some organic cocoa powder, right? Organic. That's the second thing I bought. The third thing I bought was some kaolin powder. How many of you are old enough to remember we used to use this for making face masks and things? The other thing you might need, depending on the tone of your skin, is if you have a more what I call a ginger need. When I say ginger, but that sort of more gingery tone, they recommend nutmeg. Yeah, Jody remembers the kaolin face masks. Okay, good. So, pretty easy. By the way, if you notice, I did not throw my wet wipe away. All right. What I do with my wet wipes is I immediately put them in water, and then I let them soak for a while. And then this will go into my lingerie bag, and I will wash it along with my wash. And you're going, won't it just disintegrate? Hang on. There's nothing like actually seeing it to convince you, but these are wet wipes that I have used time and time and time again. Okay. All right. And I use them for my makeup. What do you use to take your makeup off? And I just used a new one just to show you what I do with it. But here it is in my lingerie bag. It's just come out of the wash. So I just put it into water to start with, just so it can get rid of the color as much as possible before I put it in with my whitewash. But as you can see, in the washing machine, it gets all the color out of it and everything is fine. All right, so here we go. I've got some basic ingredients. I also bought an empty compact. All right, Jody's saying she uses a wet wipe and then a face cloth. All right, so what do you do with the wet wipe, Jody? And what I want to do is show you what I've made, and then I'll show you how I made it. Okay. A bit delicate. So you can probably see that that is a finishing powder where I have mixed it, but not too much. Right? I've left some of the cocoa powder showing. All right. And what I wanted to show you is what a beautiful job it does. Just hold on 1 second. Try not to get this all over my keyboard here. But now, actually, this is not quite fair because normally I would put on the foundation first. That was stupid of me, wasn't it? Okay, we can take that off. All right, but you get the idea. It really actually works beautifully. I was actually surprised that it did. You can see the big bags under my eyes like this, right? We will work this out. All right, so now then, let's work out what we're going to do. So what I liked about this idea is I can make it once, and once I've got the sort of combination the way I like it. You know, I've got enough. So I just made a little bit earlier in the week, and I've still got this much that I can still use. All right. So isn't that amazing? So let's turn to what I did. I normally would use three things. Where is, hang on, people. I know I brought it out. What did I do with it? Be right back. So the number one thing, I need my hairband, don't I? Why did I not think of it? All right, here we go. So let's just get all the hair out of the way. There we are. And what I'm going to do is, first of all, for those of you who have asked me, you know, what do I put on my face? I have got a 75-year-old face that spent nearly 20 years in the high heat of Africa without suntan lotion. I should, by virtue of that, have a skin that looks like leather. And the interesting thing is, I think you will agree that for a 75-year-old, I've got a pretty good skin. And part of the reason is that I only put one thing on as a moisturizer. I'm not paid by them, but you might as well know. I put Lubriderm on my face instead of a moisturizer. And I also use it for anything else. But before I put any makeup on, I moisturize. Okay. And by the way, I know that Beth took up the challenge and decided to try it as well. And she said that within a couple of weeks, she could see a dramatic difference to her skin. So before I put any makeup on, I slather, whatever, okay, the moisturizer on. Now, what I like about Lubriderm, it is not greasy. It is, you know, it just gets absorbed into my skin so easily. Just amazing. The next thing I used to do is I would put on 2 different color foundations, right? One a lighter one and one a darker one. And I still do that. So this is actually, so I'd put the lighter one in the obvious places. Can't wait to cover up those bags under my eyes. It looks different, doesn't it? So the lighter one, there we go. And then I put those over my eyes and across. There we go. And then I take the darker one, do the obvious places. Oh, did that right over my hairline, but never mind. All right, so Isabel is saying I never put anything on her face, and I wash only with water on her face. She said, I have great skin, but I'm afraid that age will get me one day, so I'm willing to try. It's up to you what you try, obviously. All right, so this is slightly darker here, slightly darker here, darker, and then darker, right? And then I would take the lighter one, which is fine, and just blend everything in. So pretty easy routine. Now that worked pretty well for me. But here's where the trouble started, right? I had contouring things. And what I used to do is to use this bronzer for the darker places. Of course, it's not going to show you properly now, is it? Okay. And I'm not going to put it on that side. And I'd put it here. And as I said, the sort of the darker places. Now, what I found is that the combination all of these used to be exactly my skin color. And then it wasn't. So you can't see it now, or maybe you can, but what used to suit my skin beautifully has a wrong tone to it. It has like an almost orangey tone to it, and you never saw it before. But now, since I've got cancer, it shows up. So obviously, not something I want to play with. Make sense? So we're just going to get rid of that. So what I said to myself is, I'm going to need to make my own stuff to suit my skin tone that I can change as I need to, because obviously my skin tone has changed. But I don't want to spend a fortune trying to find one that fits now. And it was so simple. I literally took this, which was the original coloring, and I added some more lubriderm to it and some more arrowroot and a little bit of the kaolin, because this is the lighter one, and mixed it all up and ended up with a perfect shade. I was quite surprised. But my question now is, how was I going to make my own bronzer shades that fitted perfectly? Right? And what I realized was that it is just an extension of what I've been doing, which is, if I know that this, I'm just going to give you a small sample of it. Okay. If this is my normal bronzer, okay, you can probably see, can you see how orangey it looks there? Okay. So that would be my normal bronzer. And then what I realized was, now, how can I mix this up? If I take my usual bronzer and mix it with the powder that I've already made, I can recreate my own contours, stuff that suits my skin better. That needs a bit more white or whiter. Let's see if that's any better. Did I get most of that off? Here we go. What I'm going to do is just put it at the top here. So that's still pretty orangey. So let's put more of this with it. Okay, there we go. And now you can see it is much more my natural skin color. You see that? So Obviously, I'm not going to be doing it like that each time. I'm going to mix up the blend that works. But the difference is, let's do before and after here. This is the before color, all right? And this is the after color. And it's subtle, but it's like it is the difference between that which was much more gingery and this, which actually does fit in with my skin tone now. So simple to do. And I've got, obviously, a lot of the old contour color that I can use to just literally bring down the contour color that I need. So let's actually do it so you can see. So this is what I mixed up there, right there. And if I wanted to create my own contour color, I'm just going to mix it a bit more. And I think it'll be easiest to see it one against the other. Yeah, there it is. There we go. And that is the difference in my skin tone. and it's just like I have gone from having a pretty suntan skin all my life to suddenly, since I got cancer, having a slug white skin. And I didn't realize it, except I was noticing it on some of the broadcasts. I'm going, what's happened to my makeup? It's looking weird these days. It's looking gingery. So, how simple is it to make? Let's just do it. To make the powder, I literally took a teaspoon of the arrowroot, like that, and I took let me show you the difference here, because that's an important difference. I took just a tad of the cocoa powder, okay, like that much. And I mixed it in. Okay, and what I want to show you is this. The difference between the cocoa powder and nutmeg. Okay. And I don't know if you can see, but the cocoa powder blends into my new skin tone beautifully. The nutmeg, no, not so much. However, it would be ideal to just bring up the bronzer a little bit. Okay? So it really depends on what your skin tone is, how you want to mix it all together. The other thing that you may want to look at is Just put this back. If this combination, you overdo it a little bit with the cocoa powder or whatever, I'm going to add just a little bit more of the cocoa powder in there, just so I can show you. And so now it is just that much darker. All right. It still looks pretty light, but it is that much darker. And so now if I wanted to change it, I can add the nutmeg to it, and it would make it more of a gingery color. What surprised me is this much lighter shade looks perfect on my skin. And as you will see, when I actually put it on, you don't normally do it with this, obviously. Okay, well now it's hit the floor, so it's definitely not going to do it with that. But, and if I blend it in, this is the new color. And it works beautifully. It is so silky smooth, has no smell to it. You know, I haven't put any essential oil to it. But what amazed me was how incredibly natural it feels. But it does take away the oil. You know, if there's any, well, not that I have oily skin, but you know, if there's any of the moisturizer left, it will absorb it. So I can still feel moisturizer on this side, but here where I've put that, it's absolutely clear. So my question is it worth doing? And so I sort of saw how much did I spend during the experiment. First of all, I've got to tell you, I doubt I will ever buy makeup again, powders or foundations. I'm convinced enough that I'm already going, I know how to do it now. I know how to change the color of it if the tone is wrong. Why would I spend money on it again? And I know what the base is. You know, most of them say you should mix it with oil and stuff, you know, certain oils. I'm going, I never use oil on my face, all right? So what I spent was I spent $13 for the arrowroot. And that arrowroot will be used for thickening stews and everything else because I found out it's gluten-free and, you know, much better. However, I need to do a bit of research with it because there's something that I read somewhere when I was doing all the research that it said that it could be an estrogenic. Now, the reason that's an issue for me is the sort of cancer I had feeds on estrogen. So it may not be good for me to eat it because I'm taking an estrogen killing medication. So it would be stupid for me to put anything in my body that is estrogen loaded. What I've got to find out from a pharmacy is it true and is there enough in there for me to be concerned? But if you don't have that problem that I've got, then it's a multifunctional thing. As I said, you can use it as talcum powder. You can use it. Oh, how many of you pay a fortune for dry shampoo? It's so good for your hair, apparently, right? So, you know, next time you finish your talcum powder thing, buy one more, a small one, a travel size one, and then make up a batch, literally, and just use it as dry shampoo. I haven't done it yet, but I will. Dry shampoo is incredibly pricey. And basically you just literally, sprinkle it on and rub it into your scalp and then brush it out, and you will have uh, done the job. And it is good for your scalp. It's not going to, I've made sure I looked into all of that. So pretty easy to do. Now, I got the kaolin powder because what I also did, and in fact I did the test run, is I made um, a much paler color for, and I've nearly used it all. I just made a little bit up, but if you look at it, I made a much paler color. There we go, for the contouring. And what I know is because I've used the Lubriderm to make it, that it will absorb into the other stuff, right? So I'm going to put a little extra on there. I'm going to smile because that tells me where to put it. There and there. Highlights. There and there. Okay. And now it will absorb itself, and become part of the makeup. Pretty easy. Now, obviously, I've got enough kaolin powder to do that. Start my own manufacturing business. But the total cost that I spent, just so you got an idea, the total cost that I spent was less than $40. And that was for all the bits and the compact. And the compact was the most expensive. That was $15 for the compact. And I don't know about you, but just to buy finishing powder, I've used this particular mineral one. And by the way, arrowroot has minerals in it as well. This is the one I have used, and I had bought extra. And that alone cost me close to $20. All right. And I think that's a good price. So let's put that on the other side just so we can see if there's any difference. I don't know, you probably won't be able to see it. Can you see a difference in color? This again is more peachy and it doesn't look as natural. Really interesting. And that's because of the color of my skin tone at the moment. So I don't want to waste this. What I'm going to do, obviously, is to use this in, it does, you can see it, right? That this is more orangey than this. This is much more natural. I hope you can see it. Good. That's what I wanted to show you. That's how much my skin tone has changed. But I had just bought two. So now what I will do is to blend those with the arrowroot until I get a more natural look for my finishing powder, rather than buy it all over again. So now the other thing I really recommend getting, if you haven't, is buy silver mica powder, the cosmetic grade. Why? Because it is so useful. Hang on a second. Let's say that you've got your favorite lipstick on. Okay. And what I love about having your own mica powder is that if you literally, I don't have my lip brush here and I've got fat fingers. You can turn any lipstick into a shimmering lipstick. Can you see that? And again, if you want extra highlights, you're going out at night or something, okay, you can just brighten up any part of your face that you want to. I'm not going to put too much on because a little goes a long way, and doing it in front of the wrong mirror is not easy. So I'm just going to go in the highlight part. Oh, that'll be interesting. Okay. And then, okay, just blend it in. And so if I'm going out at night, right, now I've got that shimmer. Jody's saying, I just paid $30 for a highlighter to do the same thing. That's why I wanted to show you what I do. And Jody, you know, look at the highlights, and it's just like, right? And what I love about it is it actually does look natural. If you're close up to it, it doesn't look like you've done what I've done. All right, but again, see the difference in tone between this side and this side. This with the highlights on it, and this without it. Can you see the difference in color? Amazing stuff, right? So do I think that spending $40 to get all the bits so I can play with it is an investment? Yes. And now that I've spent $40, I have got dry shampoo. The other thing is, I've got all sorts of notes for you here. If you have bug bites and things, or rashes, you know, anything like that, do you know that you can mix arrowroot powder with aloe vera and just put it on anywhere that you've got an itch, and it will just dry it out and stop it itching. So that's a very useful thing with the summer coming on. Again, if you've got acne, mix it with the arrowroot, mix it with a little apple cider vinegar, just about teaspoon, half a teaspoon, in fact, of apple cider vinegar, and a little aloe vera or some honey. All right, and then just put that paste on your acne areas, and it will, and let it dry, and it will pull out the impurities for you. For a face mask, they reckon a teaspoon of yogurt, 5 black grapes, a teaspoon of lemon, and then 2 teaspoons of arrowroot, and blend that together, and you will have the perfect face mask. Okay, that's interesting. Isabel's saying the color with your hair is amazing. You don't even need makeup for the eyes. Now, here's the next thing. The makeup that I'm inclined to wear for my eyes, a good point there is, thank you for mentioning it. But what I realized was, at my age, I don't need a whole lot of makeup color, right? So let's just do the same thing. Okay, so I'm going to start with, I just put a little bit of the, I already had mixed some. Okay, so I'm going to start with a little bit of the Lubriderm, and I'm going to take a mid-color type contour color, right? And then again, I don't have the proper light or a proper mirror here, so I'm just going to play with it and hope that it works. I'm then going to take the darker bronzer color. Don't know if that'll work. Did it work? A bit more perhaps. Probably get way too much now. Yeah, it sort of worked. Okay. And what I always do is after I've done that, I will take my finger and I will just literally go like that, and it smooths it all out so that you get the right combination. And if you want to highlight the eyes, obviously, just take the cap of the silver mica and just dip your brush in it a little bit. Okay, I've just literally dipped my brush in it. I don't know if I can do this. Hope so. And just at the very center part of the eye, just put a little bit of the glitter. And there you've got it. Put your mascara on. Now, you do know I'm now looking at, can I make my own mascara? And if I find out how to do that, would any of you be interested? The very last thing I do when I put my makeup on, and I don't know about you guys, but I do take a little bit of the setting powder after I put my eye makeup on, and then I just lightly brush that over the top so that it gives the color to my eyes, but it blends it all in with the color of the setting powder elsewhere. I don't know if can you see the difference between the two eyes? Maybe not. I can from my side. So the question is, how many colors do you want? And that is another thing. I realized how much money I wasted on eye color. And the truth is, the two colors I'm inclined to use all the time are gray, if I'm wearing any of the blue tones or blacks and stuff, I'm inclined to wear gray eye makeup. And the other one is this combination where it's sort of the almost contour, the face contour colors. And so now that I know I can mix my own, that's a whole new ball game for me. And how much money am I going to save? I'm thinking about, I have a mole here. So will it cover up the mole? So here is the one that I mixed earlier. It's right here. So let's take it like this and just put some extra weight around the mole. And let that soak in. And then I would just, does a pretty good job, doesn't it, as a concealer? Now, what would do a really good job of it, I think, would be the kaolin. It's so exciting. Very dangerous to let me play on live broadcast. Okay, so I've just taken a little bit of the kaolin powder. Oops. Now, the reason I'm pretty sure it will work is because I'm pretty sure this is what the Japanese use. Look at that. So basically, I'm putting a miniature face mask over my mole. Pretty good job, huh? And then obviously I would let that dry and then use the finishing touch to it as well. Why not? So, first of all, look at the difference in my face. Much more natural on this side. But rather than waste all that I have already got, I'm just going to use this to add to what I've got, or make it into eyeshadows and stuff. And that way I will have invested $40 in a year's, probably the next 5 years worth of makeup. And who gave me the idea? You've heard me talk about Marnie a lot. Marnie's mum one day told me that she used cocoa powder as a powder, a face powder. And that sort of stuck in my brain somewhere. And so when I needed to play with it, I was pretty sure there had to be recipes where you could do it. What I didn't know was how easy it was to blend your own color, where literally you can sit here and go, this color is way more natural for me than the other. And it's just so much different. Where are we in? Now that one I've already, and to be fair, that one I put on had already changed. I got that everywhere now. Okay, so look at the difference in color. Can you see that? This one is almost a clay color now. So Jody is saying cocoa powder is added to high-end bronzing and contour powders too. Yes, and so is nutmeg, I believe. And that's why I'm saying to you that it's all natural, all right? And everything that I found out about it, Jody, is that it is also extremely good for your skin. And that totally shocked me, that it would be good for my skin. And we will see. But I've been using this new combination for over a week now. And that's why I decided I was going to share it with you, because it just is that much better. And I just knew that it was going to be probably the last time I bought any contouring products or any foundation or any finishing powders. All right, now I just know this is what the combination is. It's up to me to spend maybe once every season to mix up whatever the best combination is for the new color of my skin, and know that I've got enough for the whole season. And it's cost me pennies. Pennies. That to me is a huge saving. A huge saving. And I found out this trick about the mica powder years ago, and I actually buy my mica powder. This will last me about 5 years. Right? It's just like, and because I just dab it here and on my lips when. How many of you know that I make all of my own lip glosses using mica powder? The bottom, you know, when you've got a lipstick that you've finished it, but there's still stuff in the bottom. I mix that with glycerin. I mix that up with glycerin and a little bit of mica powder, and now I've got lip gloss. So I never waste that lipstick at the end of a lipstick tube. So I don't know if that's useful for any of you, but if you think about how much money you spend on makeup these days, if you're looking to save a little bit more, hopefully, if you've got that adventurous spirit in you, it is worth it. And the interesting part being that the cornstarch obviously will do. They use cornstarch and talcum powder, but the arrowroot is much better for you, right? It doesn't have any gluten, doesn't have any nasties in it. So if you are somebody that wants to just use makeup, but quite honestly can't afford what it costs these days, it is worth the experiment. And I would say that I just burst out laughing when I saw how easy it was. Really, how easy it was. And then I went, wow. And it looks so much more natural. And this already, what I put on, and I forgot to mention that to you, the one that I put on this side, I had already toned it down. I had put extra arrowroot in this to try and tone it down. I'm now going to tone it down a whole lot more, but it already had one stage of tone down, and that's why it isn't dramatic, but you can see the difference, right? It's just amazing. Now, obviously, as I get suntanned and everything else, I will need to play with the mixtures. But right now, my new slug white is a better look for me, and it blends in. Can you see that? It just is. It's just all of it looks natural, whereas you can see the difference between here and here. Who knew it could be that easy? This is Dear Mama Sal saying, I hope it'll save you a few pennies. For those of you who are interested, tonight for dinner, I am going to make a salad of Bartlett pears, cucumber, what was the other thing? Did I have to print that out so I could talk about it? No. Anyway, there's something else I'm putting in there. Bartlett pears, cucumber, and something else that I can't remember. Mint. And I'm going to add some of the, what do you call it? The ham that we cut up. I've used up all that. You remember that big thing of ham that we cut up? I have used it. Amazing. And that will be my supper tonight. Oh, I know what the other ingredient is. Here we go. Bartlett pears, watermelon. What was the other thing? Oh, cucumber. Okay. And then with mint and ham slices in it. And that's going to be my salad this evening. And I'm really looking forward to eating that and just going to relax. I've got, it's a trial run to see if it tastes good. And I think it will. And if it does, then it will be what I serve Yvonne and Wade when they come tomorrow. I've got this powder all over me now. Never mind. That's what fun is for, right? So thank you for being here. I hope it saves you some money. Even if the worst is you buy a little bit and use it for dry shampoo, it's probably something you didn't know you could use. Yeah, Jody's saying, I sometimes have fresh, easy for you to say, fresh pear with a few slices of deli ham. Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's basically what I'm going to have. But I'm going to put in some slices of cucumber along with it and some mint. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, we'll see you on Sunday. And bye-bye for now.